Whoa! Oh my goodness, damn. I've been away for such a long time, I feel camera shy. Like, really, stop. No, stop, chill. I have to, stop. No, stop.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Minor Mind, a place where no mind is too minor. Get it? Cause you know my name is Minor, and then there's like a minor aspect, so there's like a play of words for the newcomers. Although I hate explaining, because this is what happens. Now the original vibe of why imeenda tu hivyo. Anyway, I want to thank you so much for being so supportive. I've been running a campaign. I've been away for a while, and I was running the LG NANO influencer campaign, which ended by the time I'm recording this a few days ago. But the support that we got was immense. We were at 6th. They were picking top 5. We were at 6th, and it was so close with about 3,000 plus votes, 3.3k votes, which is overwhelming. And honestly, I promised myself I won't cry. But to think that those are people who literally voted, those are more than the subscribers here, those are more than the views, those are more than my followers on Instagram. To imagine that many people really voted for me, it's emotional. So I'm not gonna cry though. Just give me a moment. It has been a question that has been asked and is always asked every single day. Kevin, how can I start a podcast? Kevin, how do you start your podcast? Well, first of all, if you don't know, I'm a podcaster. In fact, podcasting was my first love before blogging or vlogging. So these ones just came in to add on to that. But podcasting was always my first love. Damn, that feels nice to say. Because I don't say it often. My first love.
Oh my God!
But yeah, it was my first love. And I fell in love with podcasting. And so if you don't know about it, kindly check the description bio. Check out and binge those episodes. But before you go, you might be interested in starting a podcast. You might have a friend who's interested. Do make sure you do share this. Hopefully if it helps you or it makes any sense, do use it to share and help someone else. I've been getting this question a lot of times, and at some time I'm always like, because I repeat the same thing, it's not tiring in any way. I'm happy to help, but sometimes I'm always like, so when do uangalie YouTube, like how to start a podcast. And then I realized they have a YouTube channel, and I can be one of those YouTubers that, you know, how to start a podcast. Hopefully it trends, because I still need those 3,000 people who voted for me to come here and subscribe. But anyway, yeah, hopefully it helps you. Do share it. So for this episode, nataka kuichapa Abel Mutua style. Because Abel is like my role model, you know. And Abel, thank you for this opportunity, which I have given myself by mentioning your name. But I had to mention your name so that then I explain the context. So regardless, thank you for being such a role model. Just realizing you might copyright me for mentioning your name without permission. But we move on regardless. So thank you. The month is July of 2019. That's when I first started my podcast officially. But just before that, on June, I was invited to my former high school, Aga Khan High School, Nairobi. Shout out to the most beautiful school ever. So I was invited there to give an alumni speech. So I was one of the guest speakers, right? Yes, if you thought no one looks up to me, people look up to me. So if you're not looking up to me, you're lost. Figuratively, because I'm shorter than most of you. But you know what they say, the shorter the monkey, the longer the jump, the longer the jump. If you thought of anything else, by the way, if you thought of anything else, you know this is not the channel for that. It's a channel focused on your self-development, leadership, and growth. So, especially if you're a lady and you thought something else. During that event, there happened to be Adele Onyango, who was also invited to be a guest speaker. Adele Onyango was a radio host. She's now a podcaster full-time. And so she was there, and she made sense as she was talking. And I remember she said, you know, she's had young people coming and saying, you know, Adele, I'm really passionate about radio. I'd love to get into radio. And our first question is always like, but do you have like a podcast? Have you started a podcast? Something to show for it? And people are like, no, I never thought about it, you know. And she went on to add like, you know, even if you want to be a writer or a newspaper writer, do you have like a blog to show for it? This podcasting or blog can be your portfolio to push you towards that. I mean, think about it. Nika me, I'm a kevo, and then I come and tell you I've only dated one girl in my life. I don't believe. You cannot believe me, honestly. And I'm a kevo and I've only dated one girl in my life, really. But for me, that's the truth. For me, life hit different. I'm not like it was. In fact, sometimes I get shocked when people say, hey, okay, one of my players. Me, I've tried playing every game. I've tried. But even that one girlfriend, I was dating her. She was not dating me. But anyway, so for me, I remember at that time, I went back home and I thought about it because I've always wanted to be on radio. Now, this is where my love for podcasting started. I've always wanted to be on radio, and even prior to that, in school or in campus, I am a radio presenter at KUFM. I did my research and I found out about Anchor. Anchor FM is a free podcast hosting app. It's on phone app. Literally, you record, you publish your podcast, it distributes for you, it does everything for you. People just need to go use the link and listen. By the way, this is not a promo, but I'm really grateful for Anchor. So yeah, downloaded Anchor and immediately started recording my podcast. Now, this brings me to my first lesson. At that point, I did not have a purpose to start my podcasting. My whole idea was that, I just I wanna hear my voice, like it would be on radio. You know, I just wanna listen to my beautiful voice. Needless to say, this guy has quite a voice. You know, bubble rubber dubber ducky.
Say rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Oh my God.
So I wanted to just hear my voice and feel that vibe of radio. And so I did not have a purpose, which brings me to my first tip on how to start your podcast. Find out your why. I didn't have like a general scope. I was so excited to start even that podcast and to create an account. And you know, for me, I get too excited. I remember it was like late at night and I was like, let me start this thing and see it through. And so for me, I'm always so excited when I start something because I have to finish. Literally, whether it is in this context or in any other context that you're thinking of, I finish very well. At some point, as I went on with my podcast, I took a break. I took a long break because I was out of ideas. I had not thought of my why. So before you start your podcast, think of why are you starting the podcast. Point number 2. Invest in equipment. I know it sounds like a big word, investing, but trust me, it is not what you think. Think about it this way, you know, as a kevo man, you also have to be credible. That's why you need a slick haircut, you know. That's why you need stuff like this on your neck piece, yeah. That's why you need the eyes, you know. Right? That's my equipment, accessorizing. So you need to invest in equipment. And then, like I've said, as long as you have a phone and you have the Anchor app, you are done. Literally, you record. For me, at that time, I remember I was a bit lucky because I had this lapel mic. Another one that got destroyed. But I had a lapel mic. So I connected it to my phone literally and started recording. As long as your phone has a recorder, you're good. And started recording. And remember, all you need to do is get a quiet place. And for me, I did it in my closet, literally with my blanket on. And if someone came in, I can imagine through the room in a cup of kitchen, then my head is in the closet. You can imagine that imagery. It's a bit disturbing, but it's the far we go for content creation. For me, I always really get disturbed when I hear people saying that, you know, because I've heard many people say like, you know, I'm waiting for this time so that I can get an equipment, or Kevin, I saw your podcast, they're so nice, you have these beautiful mics, where did you get them? I always say the mistake that people do is compare my episode 50 with your episode 1. Work with what you have. As long as you have your phone, as long as you have that Anchor app, you're good to go, because you just need your record and you know, put your content out there. Like I say, come on, Kevo, me, I work with what I have. I cannot afford sunglasses or shades, so I use my eyes. Work with what you have. It will always come through. I hope that point is driven home, because I feel like honorary degree. So all around this time, I had my equipment ready. I had my voice, needless to say. But something was missing, my niche. So it takes me back to the point where I said I took a very long break. And all this time is because I was out of content. Literally, I didn't know what I was saying. If you listen to my past episodes, by the way, link in bio, you'll notice that there was not much I was talking about to offer. And so I took a long break to just rethink and re-strategize. And here is where it takes me to point number 3. Have a niche. Basically, this is something that you can talk about for the next 10 years. And most importantly, this is something that you're passionate about. So during this break, for me, I thought, I want to use my podcast to help someone, but as well grow myself, because sometimes it's really tiring when you're working and you're just giving instead of also growing in your own way. So I wanted the podcast to because I was confident, by the way, I had the voice. I don't know who told me that I have a nice voice, but me, I've always been confident since I got my first voiceover gig. By the way, you can check my email below if you want bookings or business. I can do a voiceover or something. Shout outs. So I started this new habit of reading a book a week. Okay, right now it's about reading a book a month. Times are getting tough. Nilikuwa nimechocha watu. By the way, if you're not doing it a week, uko sawa, don't hate yourself. Then I decided, I'm gaining so much knowledge in this reading. Why don't I put it in the podcasts? Because not many people read. You know you do not read. You know you do not read. So stop saying, yeah. Stop looking at me at, yeah, reading a book, yeah, I can read. You can't relate. That's why I created the podcast to help you. So I do reviews, very simple reviews on the podcast. And then I resonate them, or I try to associate them to real life experiences so that they hit home nicely. On top of that, I was like, I want to give a platform to people to come and tell their stories. So I have guests, amazing guests. And good news is that we have even moved now the podcast on YouTube, where we do visual and audio recording for dope guests. Not meaning that all the guests I had before are not dope, by the way, please don't get me wrong. It's just that we upgraded. I had to get a niche, and I decided, let me focus on even helping people, self-development, leadership growth, all that stuff. Yes, that's the S word. All that stuff. And I decided to pour it in the podcast, which has helped me go thus far. So get a niche. The problem that people do is, I've seen people start a podcast and they're like, I want to start this podcast. It's all about everything fun, and we're going to talk about anything and anything. Listen, that's risky. And I get that, because for me, I feel like that's a bit lazy, because you're not pushing yourself to even specialize in something. This is how humans work. Sometimes I'm in the mood of a podcast that's talking about literally essential stuff. Sometimes I'm in the mood of podcasts that are talking about self-development and reaching me. Sometimes I'm in the mood of podcasts that simply gossip. So if you put yourself out there as someone who talks about everything and anything, at the end of the day, you get no one. You will get your audience steadily, because for me, I always believe at the end of the day, there are 10 people somewhere thinking like I do, and then there are 10 people who think like those 10 people. So if you get this audience, the trick here is to get that audience. So do get your niche, specialize yourself. Again, using the Kevo Brayo mentality. That's why they are known for what they do, because we created the niche. I'm not proud, by the way. It's not something that I'm proud of. It just hits home when I associate the two. But me, I'm different. Point number 4, which is something that I learned along the way as I've been doing my podcast research. It's not something that I did in the beginning, but I've learned it, and I think I should share with you. Once you launch your podcast, do publish about 2 or 3 episodes. Now let me explain. This is simply for the simple reason that when you publish your podcast, the first episode is always mainly an intro. You need about 2 or 3 more episodes to solidify what you are talking about, or affirm what you're talking about in the intro. So someone will hear your podcast and be like, oh, nice. So even though your first episode was not as good, they still have episode 2 and 3. Because what happens sometimes, you do the intro and then you wait for a week, if you are doing your podcasts weekly, to publish the next episode. By that time, the audience that you had gathered up a intro, and intros always get a lot of audience, because people are excited for you. People are like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So that's the point at which you grab them with the second and third episode. Publish about 2 or 3 episodes. Don't only publish 1. It's safer to do 2 or 3 episodes. Again, in the Kevo and Brayo mentality. That's why you can never have one. You always have to play on both sides. Plan A, plan B. It's just nature. But I hope you get the relations. These things are very practical in life, and that's the main essence, or the main point of this channel, to just make sure we are relating things so that you don't get too lost. That's why we play it safe. You always have a plan A and Nini. Yeah. And lastly, once you've done all this, and this is my last point, shout about your episode. Not literally, usiende kusimama kwa mabati uanze kuambia watu I have a podcast. That's a bit dumb. And honestly, for someone who started a podcast, that is stooping so low because I don't expect such things from you. I'm talking about shouting on social media. God, keep up, please. Please. So shout on social media. Once you have your podcast, you need to tell everyone across all platforms. Repost, post it, repost. This is the tough part because we're talking about getting your target. This is where you get that target. Open all platforms as much as you can. Talk to as many people as you can. Tell them about your podcast. Go out there, network with people. Don't simama kwa roof anze kushout tafadhali. Just do it in a very civilized manner. But basically, shout about your podcast because otherwise how would people know you? Now, in this point I want to say, don't get discouraged when your audience does not grow. Right? Do not get discouraged because podcasting, and especially here in our country, Kenya, it's something that is coming up slowly by slowly. We need pioneers right now, and you need to be among those people who start their podcast, which drives me so smoothly to why you should start a podcast. The title of this episode is something about how to start a podcast and why you should start a podcast. Now, here is my why you should start a podcast, or why you should even now think of starting a podcast. First of all, this is the best time. This is the best time in Kenya to start a podcast. If you have not noticed, podcast is becoming big. It's the best time to start one so that next year you will be grateful that you started today. Secondly, or to why now you should start a podcast, is because first of all, it's so easy to run a podcast or to produce a podcast because, like I said, all you need is your phone and the Anchor app. If you're starting up, it's the cheapest way, right? You need just those two things to start. Unlike vlogging where I need a light, I need lighting, I need a camera. It is so much easier to start a podcast because all you need is your closet or somewhere where you unaweza kiekelea ka blanketi somewhere quiet and just record, and your voice, and everyone has that. Secondly, we all have stories to be told or some knowledge that someone else somewhere needs. If you're a doctor, you are probably quite knowledgeable in matters health, children's health, women's health. If you are a footballer, you are passionate about sports, you have some love of sports. And thirdly, podcasts can be listened at any time. I have my friends who are like, I'm washing the dishes right now listening to your podcast. I don't know why it's always the dishes. Mbona mwezi kaniambia mnasikiza podcast yangu while eating somewhere nice at a restaurant? I don't want to mention for copyright purposes. Or telling me you're on a vacation listening to my podcast. Inakuanga tu vyombo na nguo. So yeah, a podcast can be listened while doing anything and everything. It's not like video where you have to sit like you're sitting or standing watching me for about a whole 20 minutes. So yeah, those are my reasons why. So basically, it's a good time in Kenya. It's a ripe time. It's so easy. You do have a voice and you do have knowledge that someone else needs, and you will find that target audience. So yeah, do start your podcast. If, by the way, you have a podcast or a podcast idea that you want to start, do tell me in the comment section. Also, ask me any other question that you have about podcasting on the comment section. I'm always very quick to jump into those and reply them. Just pour everything on the comment section. I will be so quick to answer because these are questions that I've been receiving and I really want to help because I want all of you to have podcasts and then link them down below so that I listen to them and tell you my feedback and give you some insights on what you need. In the meantime, take that link in the description. Check out my contents. I have blogs, I have podcasts that will fuel you and will serve you. If you did enjoy this video, please share it with your friend because they need it. They might need it. They might need it to do something. So thank you so much for staying this long. I'm truly grateful. Until next time, guys. Bye.